I don't have as much blogger cred as many of you, so I will not deign to call myself a blogger, but a new media guy and somebody who's been working in doing online news and comments in Colorado for the last year now. Face the State has grown, and I'll agree with John on one thing that he said was, on the limited government side of things in Colorado, we are building up institutions from the ground up as opposed to top down. I mean, look at all of the examples of the infrastructure that they have on the left. Colorado Media Matters, local version of Media Matters for America, which is basically a group that looks for things to be outraged about. They do the same thing in Colorado. Progress Now, local version of MoveOn.org. Colorado Ethics Watch, the newly renamed Colorado Ethics Watch, a Colorado version of the DC-based Crew that basically just goes after and sues and spits innuendo about folks at the national level. They do that here in Colorado. II and Face the State and a lot of other organizations like that are building from the ground up, and we're doing a lot more with a lot less. Colorado Media Matters has like 8 employees, something like that. Progress Now has something like 15. Face the State has 2.5. So it's not like, sorry? Yes, I'm a half. Speaking 2 women, so yes, I'm a half. So as far as Face the State goes, you know, just very quickly about us, we've got 3 or 4 main products we put out. News aggregation, so if you're not on our news mailing list already, go and get it. It's free. We do a daily collection of all the news headlines from around Colorado every morning or afternoon, depending on how late I sleep in. Original investigative reporting, which is what we're going to talk about today, mostly. Our syndicated radio minute, and we've also got something that looks like a blog called The Buzz, and I'll show you an example of one of those in just a sec. That's what it looks like. That's a political cartoon of Mark Udall pointing a gun with Abramoff claims, and he sort of doesn't know exactly who it's pointed at. If you've been following that news this week, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we brought up that a lot of these stories are only really seen by a lot of people in Colorado if they're amplified through the mainstream media or the new media, or basically you can't work in a vacuum. We're trying to get better at doing that, and I think the blogosphere in general has to get better at doing that, amplifying our message so that other people see it. Because if it was just all the people who look at my website, yeah, thousands of people would see it. But if I can get Channel 7 to do a news piece about it, or if I can get on Mike Rosen talking about it, or if I can get the Fort Collins, Coloradoan linking to it, that gets me piggybacking on other people's audiences. And it's the exact reason why we do the syndicated radio minute. I piggyback on other people's audiences. They're not there to listen to me, they're there to listen to get news and weather together on the 10s in the morning. But if they have to listen to me before they get that, then we get our message out to a whole new audience as well. And throughout all of this, I think it's important to note that lefties don't get the joke, especially our friends who are just outraged. They are serially outraged at everything, and they just can't laugh at themselves. Bitch slap is not an offensive statement, especially when you use it in the context that John used on the radio show. And it's a perfect example. I mean, one of my favorite sort of people who lean left, Patty Calhoun at the Westward, when that came out, I called Patty up on the phone. Good example of using the phone. I got the editor or the publisher of the Westward on the phone. I said, Patty, do you think bitch slapped is an inappropriate term to use in your newspaper? And she says, absolutely not. I just edited it into a story for next week's edition, actually. So it's like, you know, just, if you can laugh at yourself, politics is fun. And they are just, and just kill them with kindness when they attack you on something that they're outraged about, because they just can't handle it. If you can't see that very well, that's Bill Ritter is the Easter Bunny. So I want to get on a point that Justin made, which I want to reiterate very strongly, and something that we talked about, Sam Adams folks have talked about in the past, and I want to echo this. We get a lot of our traffic off of Google, a lot of you get a lot of your traffic off of Google, and let's face it, a lot of people aren't going to be coming to our blogs just to read our blogs. They're coming to the blogs because they're looking for something about something. So people are getting to iVoices a lot of people who probably don't even live in Colorado because they're searching for Recreate 68, Denver, DNC, some variation on those search terms. So people get to face the state by searching for things like special place in hell for charter schools. So they get to places like, they get to us by searching for things like Bill Ritter Executive Order Union Control or Colorado Winds or something like that. So keep in mind that you want to make your site very rich for that. And a good example of how we can affect this is, many of you probably haven't heard of this girl, Dara Burwell. Anybody recognize the name Dara Burwell? Well, I'll tell you why I recognized it in a minute, which was key to this story. But the Colorado Civil Rights Initiative is going to go on the ballot this November, and of course, the folks who favor race preference programs and essentially institutionalize legal racism by the groups like 9 to 5 and Colorado Unity are standing up and saying that people were duped into signing the petition to get the Colorado Civil Rights Initiative on the ballot. It's Amendment 46 now that it's been certified. So one of the people who was in the Rocky Mountain News, and this is very key, both in the Rocky Mountain News, Denver Post, and the New York Times, cited variously as a 25-year-old Denver resident, CU grad, basically just an aw shucks voter. 25-year-old resident Dara Burwell complained at a press conference that she was duped into signing this petition. Well, I looked at this story and I went, Dara Burwell is not an aw shucks 25-year-old voter. She is a professional diversity thug. And I remember her from being at the University of Colorado. I typed her name in. This is how lazy reporters have gotten. That they don't even type the names of the people involved in their stories into Google, especially when a story is this important. If you type it in, you find out that she is a professional diversity trainer, that she won diversity awards from the University of Colorado, and that she's a professional, she's in the political scene. This is not the kind of person who is duped into this. So I type, these are the search results for Dara Burwell, and you can't see it very well, but you just type in Dara Burwell into that. We are now the second and third results on her page, or on the search results page on Google, when you type in her name. And it basically discredits her, shows that she's a total fraud. But of course, that doesn't change the fact that the New York Times reported her uncritically. This is the kind of effect that we can have because Google no longer can be bought by search engine companies. If you write about something timely and you do it in a way that people respond to, you'll earn your way to the top of the Google ranks. Very briefly, some other things. Don't think that somebody else is going to pick up on a really good story that you notice. I walk around with my digital camera in my backpack all the time. This isn't an example of one of my photos, but somebody else's. Somebody sent this to us. This is a picture of a sign outside of a work site at 16th and Milwaukee, right down near Union Station. And the sign essentially says, if you're not a member of a trades union, a nationally recognized trades union, you are not allowed to work on this job site. The "not" is in big red letters. It turns out I got on the phone, called the construction company, called the developers. It turns out that the reason for that is because the job site, the construction is fully funded by a union pension fund, so that's their prerogative to have that. But of course, the moral of the story is if Ritter and the rest of the unions have their way, this is going to be a very common occurrence in Colorado. Very quick hit, but it's getting a lot of really good response from people who are searching for labor unions, right to work, Colorado. And again, use primary documents. I mean, this is a very good example. This is a confidential, this is something that you should not see, and that the Department of Education actually told me was illegal to publish, which is funny because it's not illegal to publish anything that you get out of state government. This is a discipline, this is the cover letter to a discipline proceeding. It's like 30 pages long against a teacher in the Cruder School District in Fort Collins. This was posted in full plain view to everybody in the public on the Department of Education's website. According to state law, these are confidential documents. Of course, you've got the confidential stamp right on it. These are confidential documents. It was leaked. I called them, started asking questions. All hell broke loose at the Department of Education for 2 straight days because of this. And of course, it makes for good fodder. And again, it's public record. All you have to do is put it out there and it speaks for itself. So that's about it that I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions people have later on. But I guess the moral of the story is, write about local issues. Everybody knows that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are bad for the country. It's no big surprise. But not enough people are writing about how Bill Ritter is going to ruin Colorado's economy, how Abel Tapia is buying his way into state fair contracts, how Morgan Carroll is a trial lawyer who's going to benefit out of all of this hate mongering against insurance companies that she's doing. Not enough people are writing about that.